about a suit being too heavy. And I just know, listen, there's some people I can vouch for. You are one of them. I mean, there's certain people I could just vouch for and say they're not going to attach their name to something if they don't have it, if they don't have that claim backing up. You can say what you want to say about.
You are one of them. I mean, there's certain people I could just vouch for and say they're not going to attach their name to something if they don't have it, if they don't have that claim backing up. You can say what you want to say about Dan Raphael, Tim Hauser, Thomas Gorbazio. I don't know how to say his last name. Thomas. I mean, there's just some people that I know in this game, and Kevin Iole is one of them, that they're not going to report something that strenuous and that to be a fact without having some facts to back that up. Without having Deontay Wilder saying that himself, they're not going to go from a third party. So I vouched for him. I was like, of course he said it. I don't even need to guess he said it. Why are you guys making this up that he didn't say it? Of course he's mentioned the suit. I just know how these calls work. You will be on the call. Another website will be on the call. Writers will be on call. It'll be several people on the call, and they'll all get their turn to ask a question. I've been a part of those. I know how those things work. But they were adamant. This LDBC group was adamant. He never said those things. Haven't heard from that guy Tay Jones since Kevin Iole released that audio. But when that audio came out, it was clearly he said what he said. He said that the suit was heavy and he had no legs. It came out of his mouth.
Well, I know when. So when that first came out, I know there were some people denying that he actually said it, and I know how, like you said, I know how those things work. The thing about Kevin and Dan and Lance Pugmire, when they do those things, they're not like me. Like me, someone like me, I take the audio, slap it on top of a video, and I post it on YouTube, so you actually hear. But those guys, they don't do that. They write. You know, they're writers.
Right, they're writers, right?
So they're just looking for quotes into that. I mean, but that said, I can't knock Wilder for saying that, because, you know, when you're walking, I mean, he probably did feel like it affected his performance.
Of course, but I'm saying it's the conspiracy. It's not Wilder's fault. It's the conspiracies that have baffled me of surrounding this fight. Baffled me. And everybody thinks I'm I'm against Wilder. I've always said I'm not a Wilder fan, bro. And it has nothing to do with his fighting. I think he is a great heavyweight. I just didn't think he would beat Tyson Fury. I think Tyson Fury is a better heavyweight. That's just my opinion. But I'm not a Deontay Wilder. The boxing and the man is two different things. And when you constantly mention to me that, when I constantly have to hear you say you want to catch a body in the ring over and over again, and when it's to the point where it's not a joke, that's, to me, I'm like, bro, like, I remember I was talking to Lou about it. Like, Lou, this is not a good look. Like,
DeBella?
I was talking to Lou about it. Like, the first time he said it, and I'm like, this is not a good look, bro. Like, I was at your fight. I was a young pro at your fight when Levander Johnson died in the ring, bro. He took so much punishment, I think, from Jesus Chavez. He died. Like, this is not a good look. Like, and that, ever since then, like, that shit has, like, changed my view on the whole, like, like, that shit changed just my view in fighting in general. Like, I realize at a young pro age, that we put our lives on the line every time we go out there. And, you know, win, lose, or draw, we put our lives on the line. Even the guy that's our opponent, even the guy that's, you know, 0-3, even the guy that's just stepping in for a quick payday, his life is still on the line, bro, because people have lost their lives. Look at that guy that I think PBC used to have, that's all fucked up now in the hospital. I can't even think of his name off the top of my head, but he's all fucked up. Like, he's not the same. And boxing did that. So when I have to hear that guy constantly say that over and over again, it turned me it soured me as a fan. Everybody like, oh, it's just, nah, bro, that's not something to joke about. So I haven't been a fan, never be a fan, never will be a fan. I don't hate the man. I'm just not a fan, bro.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I think, I think when he originally said it, it got, I don't want to say taken out of context, but it got blown out of context is probably the way I'll put it. I think when he was originally talking about it, he was talking about, this is my mentality. when I go to war. You know what I'm saying? Like he felt like this is like when I go fight, I have the mentality of, you know, I'm trying to kill you, you know, and I think it got
bro. I had a mentality to kick ass, bro. Like I've had a mentality to kick ass and beat your ass. Like you.
Well, but I mean, I do think there are fighters that have that mentality, though. I think there are fighters that go in and are like,
okay, what about when he said it again, bro? What about when he said it again? He mentioned it again.
Well, but see, what happens is once you get something attributed to you, right? It can take on its own monster, its own being, and then you kind of blow it up even more. And I think that's what happened. I think once the stigma got put on him, he kind of said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna run with this." So I don't think he's like walking around thinking I'm a murderer. Is what I'm saying.
You don't think it would pleasure him to kill someone? And me and you are against. Well, me and you ain't on the same page because I think he really wants to kill someone.
Really? I don't think so.
I think it would do him pleasure if he killed someone, bro.
Really?
I've never met a fighter, bro, that said he like not that adamant. Like I've heard things, but not that adamant to the point where like it's like they're serious about it. Like he really seems serious. Like I want to kill someone.
Oh, he seems serious because he switches into this. I don't want to call it acting, but he switches into this. He gets serious. Like I think right. That I think that's him just putting on. I don't want to call it an act, but just switching into that mode. And I think that's why. But I don't think he really like. I'll get it. Golovkin just said he'd kill De La Hoya, but I don't think Golovkin really is walking around wanting to kill De La Hoya.
I think he said it more as a keep your old ass away from me. Like getting in with me, I would literally kill you. I don't think he would just. I don't think he would say like I want to catch a body. Like you got to go back and like. I haven't been a fan since the catching body.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
And it's fine. And the whole LDBC thing, that shit, the fraud Hawthorne and the pro-black. You can't be this if you're pro-black, but you're not married to a black woman. I mean, it's just all that shit is irritating, bro. It's just because like Andre Ward said, like he's an opportunist. They're all opportunists. If you're not an opportunist, stop fucking charging people for super chats. Stop making people pay money to hear what the fuck you gotta say, and just do it off the rip. If you have a problem, you know what? I'm gonna tell you what a real motherfucker is right now. A real motherfucker is this. I fought a bare knuckle fight. I had a bare knuckle fight. I did an interview after that fight live. You know what Ray Campbell told me? This is a real motherfucker. Ah, man, Ishe fucked up. Ben said you fucked up, that you shouldn't have mentioned UFC. You should have mentioned bare knuckle again. That's wrong. So if you have a problem.
Ray told you I said that?
Yeah. And I thought to myself, like, that was the ambition of me as a fighter, wanting to do something more and something else. And I said, you know what? Hype is right. Because not only are you someone I consider like a friend, but you also looking out for my best interest. And at that time, mentioning UFC in the bare knuckle platform probably wasn't the smartest idea. So I was like, he's that I probably could have said that, but as I'm still so speaking about what I want to do, like I want to try all this new shit. I've always said I want to try UFC at some point. But if you're so real and so pro-black about how these black people, why don't you take some of them brothers and pull them to the side and talk to them like you would do? Like, hey, Ishe, that wasn't a good look. Like, dude, you should have said this. I'm not telling you what to say, but this is what you should have said. Everything's so pro-black, but then their life isn't pro-black. They always like, if you're so pro-black, why do you got to put down Andre? What are you even talking about his father or something for? Why are you even talking about his father? If you're so pro-black, why are you against the brother man? Like I said, pro-black is like, that's the least thing against me. But I also got a Mexican woman. I got Mexican kids. I got, I was married to a black woman. I mean, I don't get the whole race and boxing thing. I haven't experienced that. Maybe on the outside with fans, but I haven't experienced a white reporter didn't want to cover Ishe Smith because I'm black. I've never experienced that. Maybe, like I said, maybe because of the fans, maybe there's a certain amount of promoters here and there, maybe over the past, but a lot has changed since I first started 20 years ago. Shit is different now. I mean, you got fighters making millions and millions of dollars that shit. They're not even fighting the opponents I fought in my first 10, 12 fights, and they're making millions of dollars.
Right.
You know, when I started off, I was fighting way tougher guys than these guys, what they fighting today, and I was making 10,000, 5,000, 11,000. I mean, shit, these guys are fighting guys way lesser than me, getting more money. So a lot has changed since then, just for the black fighter, just for fighters in general. So to sit here and try to make this a black versus white thing, if you have a problem with Oscar's emails, stick to Oscar's emails. But Oscar isn't all of boxing.
Yeah.
I mean, Oscar isn't all of boxing. If you have a problem with the emails, stick with the emails. But this is not a race thing, man. Fighters, how can it be a race thing when black fighters are making more money than they've ever made before? You tell me. How much money? Dude, if I was pro right now, if I was just starting right now, I'd be making all kind of crazy money. You know how much I got for fighting Randall Bailey, dog? I got $11,000. That was, and Ray would tell you, I fought, I think he was a 2-time former champion in like my 13th or 14th fight, and I made fucking $11,000. You know how much I would make fighting Randall Bailey today?
Right.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? These fighters are getting paid.
You might make $1 million.
Right. These fighters are getting paid. So you got Tank making millions. You got the Charlo brothers making millions. You got all these people making millions of dollars, and then you wanna go tell me how the black fighter is being misrepresented? Come on, man. Right. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. I do believe there's biasness. I do believe some judges are biased. I believe some promoters are biased, and they have their issue. But you know what? That shit has existed for decades. That's never gonna go away. But to make this game a race thing, I just don't. I don't personally see that, because this game, besides the white fighters over in England, this game is mostly made up of black and brown people. That's what it's made up of. So how the fuck can it be about race when it's mostly made up of black and brown people?
Yeah, I will say that I do think, first of all, shout out to Tevin Farmer, who just jumped in here. Tevin, we gotta get you in here too sometime, brother. I know you got some stuff you want to say about Jojo Diaz's performance, so we'll hook up with you for sure. But I will say I do think there are racial biases in the sport, but I don't think everything is racist in the sport like some other YouTube channels make it seem. Like literally some channel, like everything they talk about is race related, and it's like, nah, that's not a race thing. That's just something else. I think the racial component in boxing is very, very, I think it's slim. I think it's there, but it's not there to the point. I think we deal with more racism outside of boxing than I think inside boxing. I think it's because the landscape of boxing has changed, so it's not really like it was. I mean, we've got Al Heyman, you know, a black man who created PBC, who has 200 fighters. Like, it's hard to say it's as bad now as it was a decade ago or 20 years ago. I do think, you know, in the past there were certain things where I was like, hold on, wait a minute. I mean, I know I've talked to fighters, I've talked to trainers, sometimes on the record, off the record, where they felt like there was a different type of favoritism coming from HBO or things like that.
But it's
not like it was now. Like people, like some of the things they're saying now is just a little over the top and just like,
I don't think it's as bad as they make it seem. So that whole group, to me, just rubs me the wrong way.
Well, they're gonna rub you the wrong way when they're calling you a coon. Like,
the coon thing, the killing thing, the I'm gonna shoot you thing, and just because I'm not a fan, what did that have to do with anything? I was a fan of Arturo Gatti. That makes me a bad black man because I like Gatti. I mean, come on.
You can't say, in today's environment, you can't say one word of constructive criticism about any fighter without being labeled or blasted, biased, or you a hater or whatever. I mean, listen, bro, some of them have made videos on me.
Right.
Really?
Bro,
Deontay Wilder does not speak to me because of something that they are telling him, which is not true. Like, like, I don't know who's saying what to him. I don't like, if someone has a problem with me, I prefer for them to tell me what the problem is. But I mean, he's got me blocked on Instagram. Why you got me blocked? Like, I'm not posting stuff about Deontay. I don't like, there's something's going on over there that I don't understand. So I do know how they operate and how they can manipulate the mind of someone. And
how long was Andre Ward a professional?
How long was he a pro?
How long was he a pro?
Oh, fuck, I don't know.
If you had to just guess off the top of your head, 15, 16 years, 20 years.
Yeah, I'd say probably like 15 years, something like that.
I known Dre. Dre used to come to me and Chico's fight. So I met Dre because Chico was with James Prince. And so I would always see Dre around. And I was always wondering who this guy is, you know, who this kid is. Because he looked young. So I was always wondering who this kid is, you know, what he is. Then I finally found out he was going out for the Olympics, blah, blah, blah. He was always coming to our fights. I mean, Dre had probably seen me fight maybe 3 or 4 times before I even took out, like early 2000, like I said, back in Chico's day. So he was always at the big fights. And out of the time I've known Dre, since the amateur, all the way through now, I have not met one person say anything bad about Dre, besides the little disagreement he was having with his promoter, which all of us have had at some point during our career. Whether you did what I did, file bankruptcy, get away, or you don't have an agreement because you may not see eye to eye. You know, right. I couldn't take care of my family. Like I said, I fought Randall Bailey. I beat David Estrada. I made $10,000. I was happy beating David Estrada. They shot him to me. They said, we're going to put you on Showbox. This going to give you, you're going to get all the minor belts. This going to rank you in the top 10 of every organization if you beat them. I said, who you got for me? They said, Randall Bailey. I said, give him here. How much I'm getting paid? Because we're going to pay you $10,000. I said, shit, I just made $10,000 and I just beat David Estrada. You going to pay me? Well, let me go see what I can do and I'll come back with you. They come back to me, 11,000, take it or leave it. Now, mind you, I just beat David Estrada in the main event, dominated. Now they're going to pay me $10,000, the same exact money that I just made for beating David Estrada, and I'm getting ready to go 12 rounds against a bona fide puncher. Right. I got fucking like 13 fights, a bona fide puncher. What you going to do? I got a kid at home. I got a wife. I got to take the fight because if I don't take the fight, I don't make no money. So I had to take the fight. You know, things different nowadays. They're making way more money. Got to take the fight. But like I said, outside of like promoter beefs and stuff like that, I have not known nobody that have nothing bad to say about Dre. The fact that group continuously says bad things about Dre lets me know what type of group they are. Because even as a black man, as an athlete, as a man that represents himself well, his family well, I don't know a more model citizen, boxing Olympic champion, boxing world champion, now about to go into the Hall of Fame. I don't know how anyone can say anything bad about Dre.
Right.
Never been in the news for anything bad. Never has done nothing bad to my knowledge where you got to read about it in the papers. I don't know how anyone says anything bad about Andre Ward. I have no idea. And the fact, like I said, the fact that I know he's not going to say it because he's bigger than me. I'm just not bigger. I'm not bigger than that. I'm not bigger than that. If you say some shit, I'm going to call you out on it. The fact Dre just won't really address that group, but he has addressed it like on YouTube and stuff like that. They got him on camera saying something to fraud Hawthorne. The fact that the matter that they constantly have pounded on Dre and have said comments about him and, oh, son of God, and making fun of that, that's very disheartening. It lets me know really what type of group they are. Because like I said, I've been in this game 2 decades, 20 years as a pro. I started when I was 8 years old. So I went to the 96 Olympic trials, lost to Zab Judah in the semifinals, and I have never heard one person say anything bad about that man outside of the little promoter riff he was having. outside of that, and the fact that they keep revving and pounding on him lets me know what type of group we're dealing with. And it's that group of delusional fans. It's that group that's bad for boxing.
I told you I'm not that's a different world than the world I run in boxing. So I don't really pay too much attention to it. I mean, listen, man, YouTube is like Twitter or Instagram. It is a social media platform that anybody can go voice their opinion on. So, I try not to pay attention to people that I don't know.
Right.
Every now and then I do get, somebody will make a video about Fight Hype, or, they'll try and point out things. I know Jamal Charlo one time went on a fuck Fight Hype rant, and all of a sudden people were posting, oh, no, Jamal Charlo said fuck Fight Hype. And I'm like, Jamal Charlo don't even know why he mad at Fight Hype. Like he just, that's just how he gets sometimes.
I don't understand that though. People get mad at you because you had personal access to one of the biggest fighters in the world. And it was the same thing as Howard Cosell having personal access to one of the biggest fighters in the world, in Muhammad Ali. How can anybody get mad at you for having that kind of access? Because they didn't have it. That to me is idiotic to me. I mean, if he wants to grant you that access, what are you supposed to say? Oh no, I can't grant. I'm not gonna give you this platform, give you this access because you're not giving it to other people. That makes no sense to me. You run a website, you run a YouTube page, you run different platforms, and if the biggest fighter in the world is going to give you access to those platforms, why wouldn't you take it? That's stupid to me.
Well, I think it's always been different levels and different type of hate, right? So there's certain people in the media, like the quote unquote old media, that didn't like it. They didn't like it because he was talking to me and not them, and they looked at me like, well, who's this guy? And why what credentials does he have to talk to? I don't need credentials to talk to this. I'm a human. How about that? That's my, right. If he want to talk to me, that's who we want to talk to. So you had those type of people that hated, and then you got people that hate because you're guilty by association. They don't really hate me. They hate Floyd, but because I'm Floyd's guy, like, I would give blowback. Like Floyd he might call me to do an interview about Adrian, right? Like he might, like I remember when Adrian was fighting Ashley, Floyd called me to do an interview, and he really laid it on Adrian. I mean, he put some, he was in Floyd mode. You know what I'm saying? And you know how he get when he fillets somebody. So he said a lot of stuff. And obviously the interview was with me, and it went on Fight Hype. And I think, I think Adrian probably felt some type of way about that. And I think obviously he felt some type of way about Floyd saying it, but he probably felt some type of way about me too, because I'm the one he was talking to. So you get some of that guilty by association hate. And then you just got haters who want to be where I'm, they want to be me. I don't want to say they want to be me, but they want what I got. Like they want to have that type of relationship with, maybe not a Floyd, but with a Deontay Wilder, Mm-hmm. So in order to get that type of relationship with a Deontay Wilder, they might throw some salt. They might say, oh, don't fuck with Fight Hype. Did you see the video they did with Eddie Hearn? He interviewed Eddie Hearn and said he agreed that Anthony Joshua was the A side, or, they might say just little things like that that'll make a fighter say, what? Fight Hype said, what? I'm the B side. And now all of a sudden, now I got this fighter mad at me. So there's levels to it, bro. But like you said, I've been in this game for like 20 years, bro. It's not the first time a fighter's been mad. It's not the last time a fighter's been mad. Shit, you might have been mad at me at one point, but you see, we still talk. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like that's how the industry is. But you just got, you brush the haters off, keep it moving.
The industry is so much different than when I started. These fighters really need to appreciate the groundwork that guys, even before me, laid for them to get this kind of money. There's a lot of money out there for these fighters, man.
Yeah, big
And
time.
before I got on the Contender, my first years as a pro is like almost laughable. You can make more money working at McDonald's than what the
Yeah.
fuck I was making, bro. And
Mm.
that's just being real. Like all these guys fighting on the zone, all these guys, PBC guys, all these guys, and they said, "Well, we're fighting real fighters." Shit, so did we too. We did too. Like
Mhm.
Tuesday night fights, those were real fucking fights. They was
Yeah.
more competitive than a lot of these fights out here, and these
Mm.
guys are making crazy, crazy, crazy money,
Mhm.
and they should be really appreciated that that kind of money is out there for them. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
really do their best foot to put their best foot forward to make the biggest fights. And I
Yeah.
like and that just takes me back to Eddie Hearn doing Devin Haney a disservice with the type of opponents he has really given him, since he's been over there. He's getting paid, so you can't be too mad. But now when it's time to really cash in and really want to prove yourself, like I'm just as good as one of them, none of those guys are knocking on the door right now because you haven't beat the type of guys to raise your profile. And that has
Yeah.
everything solely to do, either it's your promoter or either it's you not taking the big fights. So
Mhm.
I don't know which one it is, but it's either or. But something's got to give with that because I don't think those big fights are coming for him no time soon.
Mm.
None of them. I don't think none of them because all the other fights are just bigger right now, and he's
Mhm.
got to fight some opponents, man. Like I said, I love Devin. I think he gives any of those guys problems. But I just think he's got to raise his profile a little bit. And what I mean, not your social media profile, your fighting profile. You got to beat some people, and you got to look good doing it.
I think he needs to leave the zone and Matchroom. I think he's gonna have to get out of there in order to get the fights that he wants.
If you want those big fights and you want to leave the zone, that's fine. But are they going to be paying you the minimum you're getting over there? That's the
I
question.
don't know. Well, listen, that
I heard
understand.
the minimum was around 7 figures. That's what I heard.
Well, I'm sure that minimum is going to change. Like, I don't know if they can be paying everyone like that.
Yeah, you leave that. I just don't know if that's the type of minimum.
But he can't even get the fights with the guys that are there. He's not like Devin versus Ryan Garcia should be a slam dunk to make. Like, they're both on the same platform. That'd be like two fighters fighting on HBO.
It's a slam dunk because they're with the same network, but is it a slam dunk outside of Ryan Garcia versus Teofimo, Ryan Garcia versus Tank? Is it a slam dunk more so than those other fights?
It should be.
How?
It's not. It's not.
It's not. It's not.
But it should be.
How?
Be like, listen.
If you worked at McDonald's and you was the manager of McDonald's,
right,
and I was the manager at Apple, I was a manager at Apple.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing us together to start a company is probably not. I'm probably going to take more than my share because I'm the bigger manager. I'm managing a bigger, better company. You're managing fries and hamburgers and fucking shakes. I'm managing like software and this kind of shit. Like these guys are fighting better fighters. It's just not a slam dunk. It's not that easy.
I understand they're fighting better fighters, but the politics of the sport should dictate. It should be easier for Golden Boy and Eddie Hearn to get together on the DAZN platform, which is where the money's coming from. The money for Ryan Garcia and the money for Devin Haney is coming from the DAZN platform, right? It should be easy. It should be easier for those people to get together and make that fight than it is for DAZN and ESPN or DAZN and Fox or DAZN and Showtime to try and figure out how they're going to put in.
And if DAZN and Showtime, which would be on Hank's side, if DAZN and Showtime does figure it out, which is the bigger fight? You already know what the bigger fight is.
Listen, you take the politics away, and the bigger fight is obviously Tank and Ryan or Teofimo and Ryan. You take the politics away, and those are bigger fights for sure.
And it's not even close.
And
that's a shame. That's a shame given how much talent Devin has. It's a shame that we can sit up here and honestly say as fans that it's not even close with Garcia fighting Tank or Garcia fighting Timo. the Teofimo. Those, it's not even close. And that's
Yeah.
what I mean by the Gamboa fight should have never happened. If that fight was going to happen, you should have fought Gamboa before Tank fought him. Tank.
Eddie should have got him Luke Campbell.
Right.
That's what I think.
He should have never fought Gamboa. He should.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying.
What does that do to? Tell me, what did that do for his profile? It hurt him. It didn't help him. It hurt him.
It helped his bank account.
A bank account, but I'm saying as a profile going forward to get the bigger fights, did it help?
It hurt him, but it hurt him because he didn't. The performance, he didn't get the knockout. So that's the reason why it hurt. If he would have knocked him out,
and then
if he would have knocked him out, it wouldn't have hurt him.
It wouldn't hurt. The problem is too, he gets in these fights, and I know everybody compares him to Floyd. The problem is Devin is fighting like Floyd Mayweather, older Floyd. He's not fighting like younger Floyd.
He's not fighting like Pretty Boy.
He's not fighting like Pretty Boy. He's fighting like the Floyd that beat Canelo, the Floyd that beat Madonna. He's fighting like that Floyd, which is fine. You're gonna win.
That's smart.
That's smart. But you're gonna last long in the game. But I think even Floyd didn't start off as Floyd. You know what I'm saying? You can't have those fights that lull fans to sleep, not wanting
you have
to see.
You have to impress when you're given the opportunity to impress.
And I just think the Gamboa fight didn't help at all. It just
I mean it was a calculated gamble that they took, and it may have backfired on him. But even putting that aside, even though he fought Gamboa, he should have gotten Luke Campbell, not Ryan. The only reason why Ryan got Luke Campbell is because Eddie Hearn was trying to double dip. He was trying to double dip. He's like, yo, I'm going to put my guy, the guy who's definitely with me, Luke Campbell, in with Ryan, and he might win. He might beat Ryan. And then if he beats Ryan, then I can put him in with Devin, another guy that I got. So I'm double dipping. If he put Luke straight away in with Devin, then Devin would have beaten him. And then that's only one payday Eddie gets off of it instead of two.
Right.
So he double dipped, and that's how I felt like he did a disservice to the Haneys. But I can't even blame Eddie, because that's what, as a promoter, as a businessman, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to try and make as much money as possible. The people that got to get mad are Devin and Bill. They got to get mad. They got to get mad at Eddie. They got to get mad at the WBC. They got to be like, yo, what's going on? What's going on?
But what is the WBC going to force? They can't force anything.
They can't.
You can't force Ryan Garcia to fight you.
No,
unless he was the champion. Other than that, you can't. He's an interim champ. He can give up that belt and say, I don't need the belts. I'm the belt.
No, at this point, there's nothing that they can do. But the WBC has enabled some of the shenanigans that have gone on. It wasn't supposed to be Teofimo that fights Lomachenko. It was supposed to be Devin. Devin had gotten to that position before Teofimo. Then they created the franchise belt. And so the WBC, again, it's not that they can do anything about the situation that they created, because they have no power to enforce. They can't force fighters to do that. But you could still be mad. Like the Haney, like Devin's holding on to that WBC belt. He has to, because he's in a position where, like, I have to hold it. This belt is important to me. It has to be important to me, because I'm not getting the help that I expected from, say, an Eddie Hearn or my platform.
So you're paying sanctioning fees for really a sanction that don't have your best interest. That's basically what you're doing.
That's what I'm getting at. That's why I'm saying they should be mad. And when I say be mad, there's nothing you can do about it, right? Like, I've learned this in boxing, but whatever people whatever the powers that be in boxing want to do, there ain't nothing you can say, do, or anything that's going to change it. They're going to do whatever they want to do, right? But you still put it out there. You still educate the people. You still get enough of an uproar for some change to happen. And if you're not talking about it, then change is not going to happen. And I just feel like, it's a messed up. It's not a bad situation that they're in, because at the end of the day, he's getting paid, right?
Right. It's not bad. No,
it's not bad. It's not bad. I'm just saying, as far as getting the names that you want to get, you're in a tough spot right now because you're not in a situation where the people you're working with can get you those names. They can't even get you Ryan Garcia. They can't. And that's what you were promised before Ryan fought Luke Campbell. That's what you were promised. Well, the winner of this fight is going to be your mandatory. That's what they were telling him. That's what they tell him. The winner of this fight is going to be Devin Haney's mandatory.
When you're like Ryan Garcia, you don't need a belt to dictate your moves.
And that's what Ryan said. I mean, that's what Ryan said. That I don't need no belt.
He don't need no belt, dog. Look at all the followers and everybody he has. He don't need a belt to dictate his moves. And then we haven't talked in a minute, but I want to get your opinion on the YouTube thing. What's the you like the YouTube boxing? You don't like the YouTube boxing?
I love it.
You like it?
Listen, I'm not gonna say I love it. I'm not gonna say I love it. But I don't have a problem with it. Like, I got no problem with it. Which part are you talking about? Are you talking about like Mayweather, Logan Paul? Are you talking about Jake Paul?
I don't like none of those. I'm still not convinced Mayweather fights any of those guys. Just my opinion.
Mayweather, Logan Paul's happening.
I'm just not convinced he fights.
I'm telling you, it's happening. It's happening.
Well, I'll believe it when I see it. I think it's more so to do when you reach a certain age, like me, like Floyd. It's more so to do with the training than it is with the fighting. But maybe it happens, maybe it don't. I don't know. It got pushed back. I don't know why, but
because they want to do it in a stadium,
right?
They want to do it at what's Raiders Stadium called? Allegiant Stadium. Yeah. That's what I think. I think they want to do it in a stadium. They want to. I mean, listen,
they're gonna be waiting a long time then, brother, because they ain't shit opening up here for a while.
I heard Bob Arum said he talked to the governor. Bob Arum got pulled like that. He said he talked to the governor, and they're talking about summertime.
Vegas Knights is just asked for 20% capacity. If they think that Raider Stadium, I think holds close to 100, maybe 70, anywhere between 70 to 100. If they think they're going to open that shit up in the summer, they're crazy. There's new strands of COVID going around. I highly doubt it's open in the summer. Maybe at 50% capacity. That's still a win. Still got roughly 35, 40, 50,000 people there. So that's not bad.
Yeah, I think it'll be something like that. I mean, they're opening up Barclays and MGM Grand. They're starting to open up a little. I mean, there's a plan in place to start, and I think that's what they're waiting on. I think that fight's definitely. I don't have a problem with any, I have a
problem with the way they carry themselves. That's the only problem I have.
The YouTubers?
Yeah, the YouTubers.
What do you mean?
Just get your money. Be happy with you getting your money. You're robbing the game for money. Be happy you're getting paid.
You're
making more money than fighters who actually have bled in this game, can't speak, have lost almost everything to this game, and you're making a mockery of the game. Come get your money.
You think Jake Paul is making a mockery of boxing?
Yes, 100%.
No, why?
100%. Because the way you talk and the way you carry yourself to present yourself
as young kids, though, bro,
as a real fighter. That's why do you think the majority of fighters are wanting to fight them? Because of the way they carry themselves.
Not because of the money.
I don't think it's for the money. I don't think Tarver wants to fight them for the money. I really don't. I don't. Tarver to me he should be a no question Hall of Famer. If he's not already in. The first man to beat Roy Jones, knock him out. No question, I think he's a Hall of Famer, but I don't know his money situation, but I don't think it's just for the money. I think it's just the way they carry themselves.
Nah, I
really do.
Listen. There's real pro fighters, right? Like quote unquote real fighters that are just as corny, that do silly things that,
But they have a right to do it.
No, they don't.
They're real fighters. They're real fighters. I can't believe you're on this train.
Listen. As a person, any person has a right to do, what they want as far as it's legal and this, that, and the other. So I'm not gonna. But I'm saying there are fighters, real fighters, who have done bigger knucklehead things than Jake Paul has done. Adrian Broner has done some crazy stuff.
You should never put Jake Paul and Adrian Broner in the same sentence.
I'm not talking about I'm talking about you're talking about how they carry themselves.
How
right?
they carry themselves? They're not fighters.
Adrian Broner has been sitting on a toilet taking a dump, right? Like he has like thrown dollar bills in the toilet. He has done corny stuff too. And I'm not saying that to like compare them as far as fighters or anything like that. I'm just talking about how they carry themselves. The stuff
so
that
you had no problem with what he did and said to Floyd. I had a problem with that. The speech talking about his kid, that's off limits. We know as fighters, we know there's a rule you don't cross.
Not all fighters.
Kids and family should be off limits.
Listen, I agree.
Kids and family is always off limits.
I agree. There's certain things you should not say. However, what I'm saying is that not all fighters abide by those rules. Jake Paul's not the only one that did that. Conor McGregor said some crazy stuff to Floyd about his kid. You know, that's not the first time. But he gonna have to answer to that. You know what I'm saying? So if that's how you're gonna act, you're gonna have to answer to that. And do I think it's like, yeah, but if Floyd gonna fight him, he gonna answer for that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't like that stuff. Doesn't bother me.
You like the YouTube shit. You're all in. You sound like a guy that's all in. You're just all in.
It's not so much that I like it. I don't hate it. That's all I'm saying. It's not like I'm sitting at home like, when's the next Jake Paul fight or when's the next? It's not that. I just don't have a problem with them. If people are gonna buy it, get your money, bro. Get your money. Like and some of the stuff they do is kind of funny. I mean, you take out certain things that he said. Some of the stuff is funny, and it does bring eyeballs to the sport. And I think so. And again, I'm not saying
it brings eyeballs to them. It doesn't bring eyeballs to the sport, though.
If they're fighting,
okay. Well, why don't we start sticking them on real pay-per-views where they can help the numbers? If they're going to bring eyes, because it's just bringing eyes to them. How is it helping the sport? If somebody, okay, let's say Jake Paul's fighting in March. Let's say Earl Spence is fighting in June. That's not going to bring more eyes for Earl Spence fight in June. How is that going to help Earl?
I don't know.
Everybody says they're bringing more eyes to the sport. How? Tell me how, because it doesn't. Unless you stick Jake Paul on an undercard, fighting on Earl Spence's card, that I will understand, because that will bring a wave of fans.
Well, okay, but that's what they did. They put him. I mean, look at the card. I mean, what was the card that Badu was on with them, right?
Yeah, but that was Badu. That wasn't really. That was his card. That was
what
Tyson's
about the card that Devin Haney? Devin Haney fought on one of their cards. Billy Joe Saunders. That brought more eyeballs for them, and hence the sport of boxing.
That is a joke.
I don't think it's a significant number of eyes. I don't think it's like, oh, we've got 20 more million people watching boxing. But you can't say it hurt. It does not hurt boxing. It doesn't hurt boxing that these big names.
I don't think it hurts it, but I just, bro, the knockout of Nate was all over. There's knockouts like that every week.
There are.
Then he got all kinds of video and all
but it's not his
ESPN.
fault that people only pay attention to him. I'll give you an example. Listen, I post all kinds of stuff on YouTube, all kinds of videos, former champions, young champions, up and coming, amateurs and stuff like that. It's not my fault that when I post a Jake Paul video, that video gets more eyeballs than this 10-0 fighter. Like,
no, it's not your fault.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't. But like, do I think that is cool? No, I don't. I wish more boxing fans would watch some of the video of the 10-0 fighter that I just posted. I wish that got 50,000 views instead of Jake Paul getting 50,000 views. But it doesn't. So. Like, that's not Jake Paul's fault. That's not my fault. That's just, like,
that's just the game. That's where the game is going. Well, you know what, Hype? I'm gonna go play.
Where it's going.
I'm gonna go play in the NFL linebacker.
I don't think, bro. I don't think that's where it's going.
I'm convinced I could play in the NFL. Some team is gonna sign me. I go run a route. Hey, what it is?
I think it's just a fad. I think it's always been around. There's always been times when exhibition. I mean, Oscar fought Didn't he fight Mario Lopez? I think. Did he fight Shaq? Shane Mosley fight. I think Shane Mosley might have fought. Like the exhibitions have been around for a long time. I don't think it's anything
not
new.
at this capacity. They're making money, and I
only one. There's only one of them, Jake. That's it.
And Logan too. Logan is going to fight. Logan is supposed to fight Floyd next.
This is second time. That's only his second time. And after he fights Floyd, he'll probably never box again. Jake will probably fight Ben Askren. He might eventually trick a Conor McGregor or one of those guys in. But once the competition stiffens up, I don't think he's going to make it a 30-fight career or anything like that, man.
I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong.
You think so? I mean, maybe.
I think you're wrong, man.
Maybe.
I think these guys actually think they're real fighters and they can beat real pros.
But they are. You don't.
How about that?
I listen.
I could cook some shit out some food, but I'm not no chef. I'm not no chef, dog.
Right?
I can cook some shit out some food, hype, but I'm not no chef.